Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on adding and subtracting surds. Addition and subtraction of surds follows the same guidelines that we use for adding and subtracting algebraic terms. In a similar manner, we can only add and subtract like surds. Let's look at some examples. 3 the square root of 2 plus 4 the square root of 2. Now we talked about like surds. Now under the square root sign here we have a 2. Under the square root sign here we have a 2. So they are like surds because we have the square root of 2 and the square root of 2. Hence, we're allowed to add the numbers in front. So 3 plus 4 gives us 7. So that's 7 the square root of 2. Number 2, 7 the square root of 5 minus 4 the square root of 5. Here we have the square root of 5 and here we have the square root of 5. They are like surds. So we're allowed to subtract those two numbers. So 7 take away 4 gives us 3. So that's 3 the square root of 5. The third example, we have 4 terms. If we underline this one and we underline that one because that's the square root of 3 and that's the square root of 3. So that gives us like surds. So 2 the square root of 3 plus 4 the square root of 3 gives us 6 the square root of 3. So that's that part of the answer. Then we have that part there and this part here. 5 the square root of 2 plus 3 the square root of 2 is 8 the square root of 2. That's the answer, and we cannot simplify it any further because you cannot add the square root of 3 to the square root of 2 because they're unlike surds, just like having unlike terms in algebra. So that answer stays exactly like that. Number 4, if we look at 8 the square root of 7 minus 5 the square root of 7. The reason I underline those two is because we have like surds here with the square root of 7 and also there. 8 take away 5 gives us 3, so that part is 3 the square root of 7. Now we're left with 9 the square root of 6, take away 3 the square root of 6. Because the numbers under the square root sign are the same, we can subtract the numbers in front. 9 take away 3 gives us 6, excuse me, so that's the answer. 3 the square root of 7 plus 6 the square root of 6. We cannot combine those because we have a 7 under that surd or square root sign and we have a 6 under there. Now here we have to be very careful because here we have the square root of 18 and here we have the square root of 2. Looking at it you would say, oh, we can't do anything with that, so we'll leave it. However, you can write the square root of 18 as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. Okay? We're expanding that surd. So that's the square root of 9 times the square root of 2, and that part stays as 5 the square root of 2. Now the square root of 9 is 3. That's why I wrote 3 here. And that stays as the square root of 2. 4 3s are 12. See, because that's the square root of 9, which is 3. 4 3s are 12. So that's actually 12 the square root of 2 plus 5 the square root of 2. So here, this square root of 18 is actually 12 the square root of 2. Therefore, we can actually add the surds together, because 12 plus 5 is 17, and we're allowed to do that because we have the square root of 2 here and the square root of 2 there. So this video has introduced us to the idea of adding and subtracting surds, and we have to look very closely and make sure that the numbers underneath the square root sign are the same, and we call those like surds, and then we can perform either the addition or the subtraction operation, whichever one we're given.